Our little patio here has some low spots over here and over there where the bricks have dipped down. I'm just going to lift them up, get a little more sand under there, and level them off again. Okay, so it's a lot better than what it was before. I'm sure it's not perfect, but at least we've raised them up a little bit, and now I'm going to get some sand in those joints. This is another problem area in this patio. There's this unsightly edge of the shed here. I'm thinking about building a little planter here to put some herbs in to kind of green up the area and soften it up a bit. I'm going to be using some pallet wood for that. Okay, so since these boards are just about as long as I need the planter to be, I've got a couple of scrap pieces of wood, not in great shape, but good enough for my purposes here. I'm not even going to do any cutting. Now for the bottom. There's going to be some gaps here, but that's alright for the soil drainage. Alright, instant planter. I'm going to give it a quick once over with a sander, then we're going to paint it black.
Paul made this simple box out of pallet wood, which is great. It's heat dried, so it's somewhat okay for outdoors, but it's not intended to last forever. I wanted a simple box. I'm just going to stain it a little bit. I'm going to do the top edge and then the outside. I want the grain to come through, so I'm going to stain it and then wipe it. I'm just using an old rag shirt for wiping it down, one that you can throw away after. And this is that same stain that we had, and we put a little bit of brown and black paint on it. We did that for this as well, that we had used on our deck last week. I actually love this natural wood, and I would be tempted to just leave it like that or just seal it in some way, but I have to say that I want it to be protected, and I want it to look like it's going with everything else in our yard.
So one of the issues we're having over here, Gina has this beautiful arrangement of pots, plants in pots over here. But what happens is when it rains, we get a lot of splashback and the sand bounces up and splatters all over the pots. So she thought that maybe building a riser to put the pots on might alleviate that. So I'm going to give it a shot. She has them arranged in this beautiful diamond pattern. So it's not going to be a regular square-shaped riser. I'm going to try to build it in the diamond shape it's in. Let's see how it turns out. So just like with the planter, I'm going to be using pallet wood for this riser for those pots. I've cut 2 of these boards with 25-degree angles on the end of each one, and 2 of them just straight. All the boards are 20 inches long. Butting them all together like this gives me the diamond shape I'm looking for. I'm going to nail all these together, and then I'm going to get some boards on the top.
Here's this little riser that Paul made for the plants on the water garden area, the pond area. And it's very rustic and rough, so it's not going to be fancy. It's just enough to get the planters off the ground. I just want to stain it to protect it, and also so it goes with all the stuff that we have. I'm not doing the inside of the bottom, but just where it can be seen, and also on the very bottom so that touches the ground so it's protected.
So one of the issues we have with this brick area is it gets a little slippery because it's in the shade all the time. It's got a slight layer of algae growing on it. We like the moss that's growing in between, but we don't like the slipperiness of the algae. So I'm going to give it a quick scrub down. We've got a mix of baking soda, vinegar, Dawn dish soap, and hot water. I'm going to scrub it down and rinse it off with that, and hopefully that'll take care of the algae problem. I'm using a mixture of compost and potting soil, mainly to save on potting soil. Now the plants I'm putting in here are basically the oregano and mint that we took out of our herb garden where we put our new deck. Now they may not look like much now, but once they fill in, and it won't take them long, that's going to look beautiful. And keep them contained and easy to harvest from. So it's ended up looking a little more scraggly than we both like, so I'm going to add a little bit more oregano from other parts of the yard. I'm going to tuck them in there to fill it in nice and full.
As pretty as these flowers are, it's really kind of going forward. So I was thinking about standing them up, but I think I'm going to cut it down, and eventually it'll fill out again. Like Paul said, in a couple of weeks it'll be nice and full again. I don't know if it'll flower again. And that's the thing, folks. Oregano is very inexpensive, and it does flower really pretty. So it's a pretty plant to give you that floral essence here, but I think I'm going to cut it down just so it comes out more full and it's not hanging over like that.
Now's the time to try out our new riser for the plants. Okay, I'm sure Gina can arrange them a little better, a little nicer than I did, but hopefully that does the job in keeping the sand from splashing up and getting all over those pots. Alright, so now I'm going to do a quick cleanup of where all these apples have fallen and a lot of distressed apple leaves too. So it looks kind of messy, so we're going to tidy it up.
So we're just fixing the edge on this bed here in the apple tree area. It's been bugging us for a while. When we first did this, we did it really quickly. We just wanted to mulch the area, but we're trying to clean up the edges more and have like a mound on the edges. It just looks more professional, more cleaned up, and you don't get that spillage of mulch going into the grass, and that's always happening. It's very frustrating. A lot of it is just laziness. We just never got around to it. So we're doing it now so we can have a nice clean edge.
So I picked up this big umbrella and stand at the side of the road. As you can see, it is stained and needs some TLC. I'm going to try to scrub it down and see if we can get it looking new again. I've got a mixture of peroxide and Dawn dish soap. We're going to scrub it down with that first. Okay, not perfect, but it seems much better than what it was. There's still a slight bit of staining left there, and we'll see what it looks like when it dries. We'll go ahead and wash the rest of the umbrella, and hopefully it'll be usable. Okay, so my scrubbing did a pretty good job. Not quite perfect. I'm going to give it one more scrub down with some OxyClean and hot water and rinse it down, and I think we're going to go from there. Here next to our raised bed garden, we have this pea stone on the ground, which is next to our fire pit area. But also sometimes we're picking vegetables and we're barefoot. And walking on the pea stone barefoot isn't the best. So I'm going to put, I've got four or five different flagstones I'm going to put down here as just a short little walkway so that we can walk on it as we're picking vegetables. Here we go. end of the pathway with our kids' handprints.
So we had these plants, we're cleaning out the veggie bed because some things are just not doing well this year. And this was kind of drooping and we knew it was something. And we had taken a picture of it because we have an app on our phone that it shows what plants are. This was not intended, but we actually, somehow by some miracle, we ended up planting potatoes. But anyway, we picked a few and they are actual potatoes. This was by accident. That's why you have a good compost, folks, because this is what happens. So I'm going to pull one out. So these are smaller, but look at that, little potatoes. That was not intentional. That was because we had a compost that if you, I guess with the eyes of the potato, you put it in the ground and this is what happened. We had made compost in this veggie bed. At one point we had put some in here and then put a little more soil over it and that was what it needed. And if you leave it alone and ignore it, this huge plant grows. And when you pull it out from the root, this is what you get. Those are all the potatoes that happened by accident, and a little baby cubanelle pepper that just didn't make it, but the whole plant, but there's a teeny little cubanelle there. But those potatoes were by accident, folks. Isn't that amazing?
So we've got this beautiful wisteria growing on this archway here, but unfortunately some of the vines are a little bit wild. So I'm going to tame it a little bit to make sure all the vines are kind of staying on the archway. Most of these I can just weave right in, and some of them I just have to tie down a little bit. The other thing with the wisteria, it's a very aggressive grower. They kind of grow where you don't want them sometimes. The same goes for these roses. I've got some morning glory mixed in there as well, and some clematis over on the left. But the roses themselves are really getting unruly. I'm just going to train them a bit to climb on this arbor. This is our latest roadside find. See what I can do with the sander, clean it up a bit. Years ago we had a big strawberry crop which kind of died out, but now this little guy appeared this year with a couple of babies, so I'm going to find a better spot for it. Then we're going to do some weeding over here, of course. We thought that a good spot might be in our elevated bed here, which has been vacated by the kale that got eaten up by whatever was eating it. So we'll tuck in these strawberries and see how they do here. I'm going to plant them near the edge so that they can hang over. Alright, hopefully they come back next year and give us some berries. This is a spot where we can tend to them easier and pay more attention to them.
we're going to let this dry for a few moments. This was just a quick span so you can see where it's at now. I really love the rich brown color. And what we're going to do is Paul's going to, in the back here, he's going to build a little bench, a built-in bench. And we have this very odd corner with a little notch out here. And we had to because we have a big boulder there and lots of roots from different things. So we're going to try to put like a corner bench here to hide that little notch, and then we're going to go down this way and have a straight bench that way as well. So this large bench will act as seating, extra seating, but also for our patio table, and we'll be able to fit way more people around this area, which is really great. So that's our next step.
So this is the leftover decking I had from after I built the deck and chairs. If you remember from the past couple of weeks, I got some scrap wood. Somebody had taken down a handicap ramp and I picked up their wood for free. These are nice pressure treated deck boards. Some of them aren't in the greatest of shape, but I'm planning on using the rest of these for building a long bench. So these are just the boards laid out and a general idea of what I was thinking of doing. It's having a bench extending over there to give us seating for this table here and also cover up this awkward angle and provide more seating. So I'm going to have to build a support system to hold these benches up, clean up the boards and get them stained up. Let's hit it. So when I built this deck, I had to build it around these boulders, some of which are exposed, some of which are in the ground. So I had to be creative with the framing. I'm also going to have to be creative with the supports for these benches. You have to remove some of these boards and build a little frame here. Right now my frame is kind of going at an angle here. I'm going to build a frame going over here, across here, so I can attach a support to this. And I have to remove this board so I can attach a frame to this. I'll have two supports coming up here for this corner bench. So you can see how my frame is kind of worked around some of these boulders in there. I had to be kind of creative with that. So now I'm going to be creative again to make a little support. Okay, so I'm going to put this frame in place here so I can attach my support here for the bench. I'm going to nail these two together. I'm going to brace this up on some bricks or something so I can keep it at the right height before I nail it in. So my planned support for these benches, I'm going to use a plank coming up like this. It's 24 inches long. And that's going to be a plank going across like so, giving something for the seat boards to rest on. Normally I would like to use beefier wood for the supports, but this is what I've got for an option, so that's what I'm using. I'm going to nail these T's together first while it's not nailed in down here yet. It'll be a lot easier to nail them together when I've got a support behind them. It seems to be in the right place there. Alright, I'm going to have these extending 17 inches above the stud here. Once I put the seating on, it'll keep it a 17-inch seat, which is what my patio chairs are at, so I figure that should be pretty good. On second thought, I'm going to go with 18 inches because my patio chairs usually have a cushion on them. Alright, 18-inch height for my benches. After I get my first nail in, I'm going to level it. Nice. Not nice. That's pretty solid. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the same design I'm going to use for all the supports for all the benches. And something like this. So I'm cutting my supports at 24 inches, and for this angled bench, these are going to be 20 inches. I'm not really happy with how close that is for my supports. I don't have any other options over here. It's going to be too close together for that front board. Back board, of course, will be fine. Spread out like that. But the front board is going to be too close together to give it any kind of support. So I think what I'll have to do is build an extra set of legs that's going to rest on top of the deck. Yes, that's what I'll have to do. Hope I have enough wood for it. So again, this is just to support, to secure it to the deck. I'm going to add some extra legs on the end here for support. But before I do that, I'm going to start moving on to the next set of seats. So I put in all my supports here. Next, I'm going to replace those deck boards by notching them out. I've done a couple of those right here. And notch those out and put those deck boards back, and then work on the seats. Okay, so I put the boards here loosely in place just to make sure I have all the boards I need for the length I need. Make sure everything kind of works. So now I'm going to start cutting them and attaching them. Now the front pieces I'm not going to attach yet because we're planning on putting a front on these benches using some pallet wood, which we don't have yet. So I'm planning on putting a little strip in here on the front edge to nail the pallet boards into. I'm just setting them in place for now, but I won't be securing them yet. Some of these boards are a little longer than others, so I'm just going to go cut them all at the same length. Now these here that are going to lead to the corner are going to be trickier, a lot of different angles, and I'm going to have to just kind of roll with as I go. Okay, originally I thought that I was going to angle each of the boards and try to miter them all in the corner. I think it's just going to work out easier, and I think with the size of boards I have, I'm just going to cut this bench at the 48 inch, and then the angled bench is going to have the longer boards angled in the corner. Okay, here are the benches, unsanded. The front board is not attached yet of each bench because we're going to put fronts on these, like I was saying. So I'm attaching these cleats to the underside of these front seat boards so that I can nail the pallet boards right up into them. I'm putting them an inch back. I've marked off where these supports are so they don't interfere with that. Pre-drilling the hole so I don't split the wood. A little tedious, but it'll be worth it in the end. These are the scrap pieces of wood I'm putting on here. Do the same thing all the way down. I've got an area here in the corner where these don't quite match up because there's not as much support under this end of these, so I'm going to get one of these pieces of wood and screw it up underneath both and try to match them up a little bit better. Now it's time to hit everything with a sander. I'm going to attach the bottom cleat for the front. Once I put this down, I'm going to put in boards going vertically, nailed into these, and have these angled slightly back. I think that'll be nice when you're sitting here. Your legs won't be forced out front as much. Just going to have it angled back, and I'm going to line it up right with the edge of this deck board. A bit of a warp on this cleat here, which is why I couldn't use it for one of these seat pieces or anything else really, but hopefully it'll work fine for this. I'm going to put these all along the front of the bench, and then also adding my vertical boards. So I've begun attaching these front boards. I've got a ways to go. Now I'm using pallet wood for this, so I'm just using the pallet I have on hand. I'm going to have to pick up more pallets tomorrow to go all the rest of the way down.
The garden's not our best this year, but we're just cleaning it up and trying to keep it going, but not doing so well. But we just hoed the garden and weeded a bit. Our son Jacob is helping us garden a bit. We're starting to clean up a little bit. This is our late summer cleanup.
So it's a little challenging working with pallet wood sometimes. It's a little imperfect, but we're doing the best we can. As you can see, we put in all the fascia boards and got them painted. Now I'm just adding some trim. Did some along the bottom, and we're going to do some along the top. And we're going to touch up the paint here and there, and then I think we'll be ready to go.
Hi everyone.
Hey there.
It's been a fun week.
It has been a fun week.
You know, very busy, but very productive.
Yep.
And fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Me too. A lot of little projects that needed to get done, and one big project that I've been excited about this project for weeks now. I've been wanting to build a bench thing here, and because we got that extra wood that we had left over from the deck, it worked out great.
It worked out really great. I think he panics when I say, hey, I have an idea. And he's like, oh no.
What now?
But doesn't it work out okay?
It always works out great.
All right then. All right. So, yes.
Sometimes it takes me a minute to catch up and think, yeah, maybe it is a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So it takes a while to get there, folks, but it
always works.
Yes, and it always works out. But anyway, yes. It feels nice and refreshed and clean. We're having a gathering in a couple weeks. That's, we needed to do this anyway, but we kind of felt the pressure of like, we got to hurry up and get this done. We're actually really excited because hoping the weather's good. We'll be out here and enjoying it. Yeah. It really is a great space. So let us know what you think. What do you think of it? Or do you think there's anything else we should do? Are there any improvements you can think of? We really love recycling. If you ever have recycling ideas, let us know, because we would love to do that. We get excited about those types of things.
We do.
Yeah.
It's been a fun week. It really has.
Yeah.
So
it really was.
we really enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, give us a little thumbs up, click the like button. And we'd love if you could subscribe if you aren't already. And yeah, so hope you can join us next week. Can't wait to see you.
Yes, thank you for all of you subscribing so far, and we hope that more of you will join our channel. We'd love to have you come on over.
Yeah.
So, thanks again.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. See you next
Cheers.
week.